A reluctant king.
I'm not here to discuss personal matters.
An uncommon commoner.
Why are you here then?
Because I bloody well stammer! It's about one person trying to reach another person through so many barriers.
It's the journey towards becoming a king and becoming a human being.
You're peculiar. I take that as a compliment.
Join us as we take you behind the scenes of The King's Speech, starring Colin Firth, Geoffrey Rush, Helena Bonham Carter, and Guy Pearce. We will explore the inspirational story of King George VI and an unlikely friendship.
You have this man who happens to be the younger brother to the King of England, who has a stammer, fine. But this man's forced to become king when his older brother marries the American Wallis Simpson and has to give up the throne. And on top of that, the Second World War is approaching and he's expected to lead the country into war through speaking beautifully and connecting to people, and he can't speak.
War with Germany will come, and we will need a king whom we can all stand behind united.
His job is to speak, and if you feel you can't speak, then you're pointless.
If I'm a king, where's my power? Can I form a government? Can I levy a tax? Declare a war? No. And yet I'm the seat of all authority. Why? Because the nation believes that when I speak for them. But I can't speak.
At a time when that is so important, he was a royal example of somebody who was not built that way, was not meant to be in public speaking.
Good afternoon. This is the BBC National Programme and Empire Service, taking you to Wembley Stadium for the closing ceremony of the Empire Exhibition.
You're live in 2 minutes, Your Royal Highness.
This is something that just come in. Every other king in history didn't have to worry about live radio. Every future monarch is going to have the protection of edited and recorded tape. Bertie didn't have that luxury. He just had to sit in front of a live microphone and speak to the entire empire.
Remember, sir, 3 flashes, then steady red means you're live.
It's a great story because it's not just about his speech, it's really about the internal emotional workings that are going on for him that all of us can relate to, I suppose.
Using the new invention of radio, the opening ceremony was the first time His Majesty the King addressed his subjects on the wireless. And today, His Royal Highness the Duke of York will give his inaugural broadcast to the nation and the world.
There's something about this particular story where the reality and the actuality of what went on is so intriguing.
What was your earliest memory?
On Earth, do you mean?
Your first recollection?
I'm not here to discuss personal matters.
Why are you here then?
Because I bloody well stammer! Somehow these themes are very universal. I think it's about people trying to reach each other.
You have a bit of a temper.
One of my many faults.
Colin's just delightful, you know. He's brilliant, he's hilarious, he's incredibly generous.
Making some changes to the garden, I see.
Yes, I'm not quite finished yet.
David. That's one of the great things about being an actor, is actually sort of being in front of other actors while they do their stuff and kind of going, wow. So it's a thrill to share the screen with him.
He has a very incredible brain. He's a very clever man. He studied the way Bertie stammered very carefully. We talked to speech therapists about how to capture it.
It's interesting to me, not so much what the stammer sounded like. It was how he struggled against it was what interested me.
I have received from His Majesty.
He understands that stammering is all about the silences, and it's all about those moments. The horror of the silences, the horror when you can't speak, and it's not really about so much about the little noises you make.
The King.
And watching him do that has been beautiful, heartbreaking, very powerful, poignant.
Well, please don't do that.
I'm sorry.
I believe sucking smoke into your lungs will kill you.
My physicians say it relaxes the throat.
Well, they're idiots.
They've all been knighted.
Makes it official, then.
Working with Geoffrey is such fun and so stimulating because he's relentlessly enthusiastic. I mean, there would not be an evening that would go past where he would not have had a drink with me to discuss the next day's shooting or talk about the day we'd had. It's great to have that kind of enthusiasm in an actor. It creates a wonderful buzz on set.
Okay, as soon as we can, please, everybody, let's go.
He was a passionate advocate of the film from the beginning, fought shoulder to shoulder with me to get it made. So he's been a tremendous ally.
What is it about David that stops you speaking?
What is it about you that bloody well makes you want to go on about him the whole bloody time?
Vulgar but fluent. You don't stammer when you swear.
No, bugger off.
Is that the best you can do?
Well, bloody bugger to you, you beastly.
Oh, a public school prig could do better than that.
Oh, he's quite fantastic in that he never lets an obvious choice get through.
Now, when you and Elizabeth enter through the west door, you will be greeted by the hymn, I was glad when they said unto me. Well, actually, you won't be all that glad because they do sing it for a very long time.
He's avoided the Australian cliche, which would be kind of Crocodile Dundee meets the King of England. He intuited that Lionel Logue would have to be, really tactically quite a smart man to really help Bertie. He couldn't be crass.
Then there's a very long bit about upholding the faith. It goes on, rubbish, 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 to which you finally say...
And he also intuited how Lionel Logue might use some of the freedoms of being Australian to set up a smokescreen under which he could actually effect some really interesting changes or challenge the king in an interesting way.
Kiss the book and sign the oath, and you're king. Easy.
This?
Waiting for King to apologize, one can wait rather a long wait.
I think the relationship between Bertie and Lionel is fueled by the unlikeliness of them happening to meet.
Myrtle.
Is this your wife?
Yes. Bertie, come here.
Are you all right, Logue?
Yes.
Well, shouldn't we go through?
Trust me, it's important.
What is it?
I haven't told her about us. Sit down, relax.
Geoffrey and I called it the bromance. It did go through those sort of things that happen. It's in the romantic comedies almost.
Logue, we can't stay here all day.
Yes, we can. Logue, I need to wait for the right moment.
Logue, you're being a coward.
You're damn right.
Get out there, man.
It's boy meets therapist, boy loses therapist, boy gets therapist.
Will their majesties be staying to dinner?
We'd love to. Such a treat, but, alas, previous engagement. What a pity.
Well, humour drives it a lot. The fact that Helena has the filthiest laugh of anybody I've ever met just meant that there could never be any tension on the set.
I shifted them.
To have somebody I've always known next to me just meant you have a shorthand, and she is delightful.
Thank you. Lionel.
It was wonderful to have Helena play Elizabeth. She is the heart of that relationship, and she, through supporting her husband, ends up, by proxy, sort of leading the nation herself.
I refused your first 2 marriage proposals, not because I didn't love you, but because I couldn't bear the idea of a royal life. Couldn't bear the idea of a life of tours, of public duty, a life that no longer was really to be my own. But then I thought, he stammers so beautifully, they'll leave us alone.
I pursued her with a ruthless vengeance because she was also shooting Harry Potter and we had to completely reschedule the shoot in order to make it work, but I'm so pleased.
He kept on asking me to be in this film. I never actually said yes.
I thought the appointment was for Johnson. Forgive me, your...
Royal Highness.
Royal Highness.
Yes, Johnson was used during the Great War, when the Navy didn't want the enemy to know he was aboard.
Am I considered the enemy?
You will be, if you remain unobliging.
It was quite different. She's got this sort of very soft, sweet, somewhat vague, gentle exterior, but I think underneath she was very strong, and I wanted to play that duality, really.
I got stuck in a lift with her the other day, with the camera operator, and if I had to choose somebody to get stuck in a lift with, actually, she comes fairly high on the list. because she's amusing, attractive, and very small.
David, I've been trying to see you.
I've been terribly busy.
Doing what?
Kinging.
Really?
I was a great admirer of Guy, and it was a thrill that I was able to persuade him to play this role.
You all know the reasons which have impelled me to renounce the throne.
During the abdication speech, the rhyming and the nervousness in which that was given is absolutely there. And I think we needed a great actor for that.
And to discharge my duties as king as I would wish to do without the help and support of the woman I love.
Now, what's extraordinary